Yo, what's up guys? We finally got some HAVOC Demon Hunter changes on the PTR for patch 10.1. They are a little confusing. I know a lot of people have been asking what this means, if this changes anything, so we're going to look through it today, and I'll hopefully try to clear things up for you. So, the first thing we want to look at is the talent changes. So, Accelerating Blade has been changed. It used to be called Accelerating Blade, now it's called Accelerated Blade. Hey, whatever. So they changed how it works. How it used to work was it would increase in damage with each bounce that your glaive did, but now it decreases in damage, but does more upfront damage to your first target. So what this does is it essentially allows us to get a bit more single target and basically just priority damage in our build that uses Throw Glaive for damage. So this might seem a little weird at first, because if you think about it, your Throw Glaive damage actually directly affects your Soulrend damage, right? So you would think, okay, this means our AoE damage is going down, which it is, but it's not a significant amount, nothing you need to worry about. It's going down over the course of a key of a Mythic Plus, it's going down 0.8% overall. But we're actually gaining a lot more single target from this. So this is great because single target has been our kind of pain point over the past little while. More so in Raid. In Raid, it's really kind of shitty. But in Mythic Plus, we're mostly geared towards mass AoE. That's where we do most of our damage. When it comes to the bosses, we're kind of lackluster, and that's where we fall short. Hopefully, this should help with that. So let's continue further. We're going to talk about these more after we go through both of them here. So the next one is Serrated Glaive. So they changed how Serrated Glaive works. We can look at it in game. And so here, before the change, enemies hit by Throw Glaive take 10% increased damage from I-Beam. It goes up to 20% with 2 points in it. But now it's going to increase Chaos Strike damage as well. So once you put 2 points into Serrated Glaive, that's going to increase your Chaos Strike and your I-Beam damage by up to 20%. So what I want to look at first is, like I said, I have notes here, so bear with me. I'm going to be looking this way. So these changes do help in Mythic Plus. It allows us to do a lot more single target and priority damage at a small sacrifice for AoE. So we'd be dropping, if we wanted to take... Hold on, let me swap builds here. If we wanted to take Serrated Glaive, what we would do is we would drop... You might be using Burning Hatred now, or you might be using Blind Fury, but either way, you're going to take that 1 point, and you would put it into the new Serrated Glaive. So you would go like that, and so on and so forth, and fill out the rest of your tree. I don't think it's going to be worth putting 2 points into there, because if we wanted to do that, we'd have to drop Looks Can Kill, which you can do, but to me, it feels like... I don't know. You could definitely do it. You could. But our tier set in the new patch is very I-Beam centric. So I kind of like having Looks Can Kill. We're going to have to see in terms of sims and just how it kind of feels, whether getting that extra 10% damage to I-Beam would be worth it over Looks Can Kill. But yeah, one thing to note is that because of our new tier set that we're getting, it does kind of suck, by the way. I'm sure we're all aware of that now, but what it does do is it gives us a bit of extra fury, which allows us to actually, drop Burning Hatred or drop Blind Fury. That's how we can afford to do that. Otherwise, we wouldn't really do this. But with the new tier set, it allows us that freedom. Okay, so yeah, you might be asking, okay, do we want to use these new talents, these changes in our single target build? Does this mean we have to start pressing Throw Glaive in Raid in single target? The answer to that is no. It's just not worth it. There's no world where, with this tuning at least, there's no world where pressing Throw Glaive in a build that's not centered around Throw Glaive is actually worth the GCD. Despite all the changes, there's just no way, right? Like if you're playing your, I don't know, your single target build, what you would have to be doing is using Throw Glaive, an unempowered Throw Glaive, right? Because we're not taking Furious Throws, we're not taking Accelerated Blades, we're not taking Soulrend, we're not taking any of those Throw Glaive talents. So you'd be using a limp Throw Glaive every couple seconds just so you can get a slightly empowered Annihilation or Chaos Strike. And obviously with this Accelerated Blade, with the new change, you still wouldn't take that either because you're just not going down that side of the tree. So the answer, as it stands with the current tuning, is no. This makes no difference to raid single target. We're still very pathetic when it comes to raid, and I think that's something that I hope the Blizzard devs take a look at in the near future, because it's going to be pretty abysmal when it comes to raid next year for us. So what I do want to touch on too is, like, I feel like what they tried to do here with these changes, they accomplished, right? They were trying to bridge the gap between our single target and our AoE in Mythic Plus. So overall, these changes aren't going to affect your numbers at the end of a key, right? You're not going to see higher damage on your overall meters. But what this does do is it makes us a little less useless when it comes to the bosses, or when it comes to, priority targets. It's taking a little bit off the top when it comes to our AoE damage and bumping our single target up. So it's bridging the gap. It's compensating for that lack of AoE, but also just smoothing out our damage profile, where we're a bit more versatile and we're not just one-trick ponies, right? Because what happens is classes that become very, very good at one thing, like a class that's super good at single target, or a class that's just, only good in mass AoE, they have a hard time finding their spot in game. Like, you might not get invited to certain things, or I don't know, certain fixes or whatever, because you're only good in something else that's not happening this week. So if you're you don't want to be a jack of all trades, master of none, right? But you do want to have a little evenness in your damage profile, and that's what this is accomplishing. So I think they really did a good job on that front. So this new Serrated Glaive buff, when we're using it in our Mythic Plus build, the reason that it's so good is because we're pressing Throw Glaive pretty much on cooldown anyways, meaning that the buff to Chaos Strike / Annihilation is basically going to be 100% uptime. It's going to be buffed all the time. We're getting that extra 10 or 20%, whatever you decide to do. Now, this isn't quite as good as it might look up front, because we're not, in this build, we're not pressing Chaos Strike or Annihilation all the time, or as much as we would with the other builds, because you're prioritizing Death Sweep and Throw Glaive. But like I said, when you're in a Mythic Plus key and you're fighting a boss, that's the time where in your Essence Break window, of course, you're using Annihilation because it's single target. Whereas if you're fighting a trash pack that you're just trying to get down all at once, then you'd be doing Death Sweep and then going into Throw Glaive, because that's just more damage because you're hitting all the different targets. But again, if you're fighting a prio target and you want to get that killed quickly, you would, in your Essence Break window, then start with a Death Sweep, and then you could move on to Annihilations. So lots of rambling, I apologize, but TLDR, we probably won't use Serrated Glaive in any of the raid single target builds, but it's definitely a good change for our Mythic Plus damage profile. We'll feel less useless when it comes to bosses, and extra damage bridges the gap from lost AoE. So people much smarter than me, as I always say, crunched the numbers. It's 9.5% less Throw Glaive damage on 3 targets, but it's a gain in damage in 2 targets, a big gain in single target, and just better prio damage in all cases. It's a sub 1% nerf in overall AoE. More likely, it's going to be like net neutral in a key on your overall, but now you have a better damage profile. So that basically sums up these changes. From here going forward, it has been stated that tuning is not done yet. There will still be tuning passes, whether that means HAVOC is getting something or what, that's yet to be seen, but it has been established that tuning is not done. So there is still chances for us to get some tweaks. Numbers can be changed. Functionality of certain things can still be changed. So we're not lost in the dark yet. There's still hope for us. I do think that there are some other problems that I think it's probably too late for them to address, but these are things I'd like to see fixed going forward. The first major thing is that the left side of the class tree is just way too powerful. It's basically a lock-in all the time. You always take Essence Break. You kind of always want Know Your Enemy. Momentum is just like a no-brainer. Initiative. This left side of the tree is just 100% all the time, which makes experimenting in the other aspects of the tree a bit limiting, right? And the problem is, if you have a talent like, say, Essence Break, that you just always take all the time, it's a 100% take rate. That's so limiting in what you're trying to do, because you have to take all of these other talents just to get down to it. So this being so high, it like 100%, we're using numbers, it second-handedly increases the take rate of all of these. Is this making sense? You guys know what I mean. The other problem is the middle part of the tree, the single target part of it, is just kind of a headache and not that good. It's really annoying to play because of Cycle of Hatred, especially when you're using it in combination with Essence Break, because you're reducing the cooldown on I-Beam, which then desyncs it from Essence Break. So this is just annoying to play. There are other weird things happening on the right side of the tree, where you have something like Fodder to the Flame, which in its own right is super annoying and confusing because of just the way the demon works and the unpredictable RNG of it. But it's so good that you just always have to take it. There are misplaced kind of talents here that I think shouldn't be here at all. A lot of people are campaigning to get rid of Isolated Prey completely, because it's supposed to be an option that you take when you're going down like a no mover type of build. Like, you don't want to be fell rushing or whatever. It's supposed to be a substitute to kind of allow you to make a build that doesn't do that stuff. But unfortunately, the fell rush part of Isolated Prey requires you to just fell rush anyways, even if you don't have momentum, because it's generating fury. So you're still fell rushing on cooldown with Isolated Prey. Then we have, like, on the right side of the tree here, we have something which is supposed to be the AoE side of the tree, right? We have like the movement side on the left, single target in the middle, and then AoE on the right. But for some reason, we have a single target talent over here on the right. We have a random Chaos Strike talent. So there's some weird things. A lot of these things, like I said, I don't think they'll be fixed for 10.1, but I'm hoping towards the next patch, maybe halfway through 10.1, I don't know, sometime soon, this can get looked at and addressed. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, if you like these changes, if you're excited for them, and let me know what kind of changes you would like to see in the talent tree. If you have any suggestions, the devs are always watching. They have eyes everywhere, so don't feel like your opinion doesn't matter. Of course it does. Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.